the Legends of Boxing show on the Grueling Truth Sports Network. Brought to you by the Retired Boxers Foundation and MyBookie.ag. Our guest today was the hardest puncher in heavyweight boxing history. He fought twice for the heavyweight championship against Muhammad Ali and Larry Holmes. Help me welcome to the show former heavyweight contender, Earnie Shavers. How you doing, Ernie?
I'm doing great. Thank you. How you doing?
All right, and I couldn't wait to do this interview. You're one of my favorites when I was little, watching the fights with my dad. One thing that I read sounded really interesting. At the age of 5, you were forced to flee your home by the KKK?
Yes, in Alabama.
So do you remember any of that, or is it basically just stories of what your parents used to tell you?
What they tell me, I mean, I'm 5 years old. I can remember a whole lot of it. No, just what my parents told me, that's all.
All right, Jeremiah.
I can't go into a whole lot of detail. But, we living in the South, and that's when the black ones do popular in Alabama. Anyway, my father him and one of the guys that saw my father a mule. He was making payments on a mule. Then the last payment, he missed the payment. The guy wanted to take the mule back. And my father pulled a gun on him. But guys tell my father, back in the 50s, you didn't pull a gun on the Klansmen in the South.
Yeah.
So we had to leave town.
Yeah, and you said that was one of the best things that had happened to you, and I heard that you've been working from an early age. But how did you get into boxing? And from what I've read, you didn't start boxing until you were 22 years of old.
Yeah, I was 22 when I started. I'm glad I started late. I had responsibility and had a family. That made me buckle down right away and do what I was supposed to do as a trainer, as my coach taught me. And it worked out well for me.
All right, so tell us a little bit about your pro debut and what you remember about that.
Well, I turned pro. I said 22 years old. I won the national AAU in '69 in San Diego, California. Then I turned pro, I think, in November 6th the year. And it worked out well for me because I had a family, I had responsibility. So I knew I had to make it. And worked hard and did the right thing. It worked out well for me.
Yeah, and you're still working hard from what we understand, but we're kind of wondering what do you think gave you your freakish power? Because, I've read stories of guys who, they attribute, their stamina to, previous jobs that they had or leg strength to previous jobs they had, or, this or that or whatever it could be. What do you think it was that gave you your power?
I knew exactly what it was. But see, I grew up on a farm in Ohio. And that's when we had a wooden furnace, and we had to do a lot of chopping because you couldn't afford to buy the coal like it was. But we did a lot of chopping wood and everything, chop our trees down. And I was at the age started to work doing the chopping, and that had built me up. And it worked out well for me.
All right, now, when did you meet Don King during your career?
Well, I met Don, oh my God. I remember now. I must in the 70s, I think.
Yeah.
Early 70s.
Was it earlier in your career?
Yeah, it's pretty early in my career. Yes, it was.
All right, now we've had different guys on before that have had different stories about Don King, some good, some bad. Would you say overall your experience with Don was good?
Mine was great. Well, see, I had some friends in New York. You heard before Mr. John Gotti?
Yeah.
He looked after me. He called Don and told him what to do and what not to do, and Don did it. So he took care of me. He took care of me.
It's good to hear. And eventually you fought a guest we had on not too long ago in Ron Stander. Do you recall anything of that fight?
Yeah, I thought Ron, it was a good fight, but I broke my hand. I had my hand mapped too tight, and I broke it, and Ron took over after it. Ron was a good fighter, though.
Yeah, Ron said that when you hit him, Because Ron fought about everybody. He said you were the hardest puncher. He said when you hit him, it was like his brain shut down.
But hey, he came back. He shut mine down.
I mean, there's one thing. Ron Stander was a tough dude.
Yeah, he was. He was a good man.
Yeah. Now, another guy you fought that was a tough dude back then, and you fought during the time where the heavyweight division was the best and the deepest. You fought a guy by the name of Jerry Quarry at Madison Square Garden in 1973. You want to talk a little bit about that encounter?
Oh, yeah. Well, see, I kind of underestimated Jerry. And Jerry was a good fighter. I underestimated him. He had a lot more experience at the time than I did. I underestimated him, and I lost to him. But that's the way life goes. Win some, you lose some.
Yeah, and the thing is this, and the thing I think the most that I get out of just looking at your career is that you're a guy that got better as you went on, and it seemed like, you know, even though you lost some fights here or there, that losing those fights made you a better fighter.
Yeah, because I trained harder. I knew what I had to do because I had to quit my job at General Motors, so I knew I couldn't fail. I had to go up, so I did the right thing.
Yeah. Honestly, I wish more fighters nowadays. I don't know if you follow boxing anymore, Ernie, but you know, there's far too much emphasis on the zero anymore. And I wish a lot more guys would kind of take that tack where they would, you know, look at these losses and whatnot as learning experiences and build on them. But you know, in today's boxing economy, I don't know, there's just too much emphasis on it. But you know, you ended up fighting Jimmy Ellis, and arguably that was your biggest win. Would you consider it your biggest win? And what do you remember of that fight?
No, I won't say my biggest win. It was a good win. Jimmy was a small heavyweight, and he was made for me because I knew if I caught him and he was a good shot, and take him out, and I did. But Jimmy, I think my better fighter than Jimmy, I have to say, is Ken Norton.
Yeah,
he was, I think, a better fighter. Yeah.
But
Jimmy was a good fighter, but I have to give Ken Norton. Okay.
Yeah, but I think Jimmy's the one where people really started to notice you when you took him out.
Yeah, Jimmy was let's say he was a small heavyweight, and Ali gonna tell me how to fight him, and this and that. No, Archie Morrison, no, Ernie, this is what I want you to do. I want you to go to Jimmy and just take him out of the Ali said, no, Ernie, no, he got a good chin. No, do this, do it, hit him in the body. Archie said, Ernie, go out there, throw the bad for cut, take him out. I did, and knocked him out.
Yeah,
and listen to Archie on that one.
And then I think a forgotten great fight, which everybody talks about Ron Lyle's fight with George Foreman, but your fight with Ron Lyle was unreal. You want to talk a little bit about that? I think you fought it in Denver, too, which I think was Lyle's hometown.
Yeah, it was his hometown. Lyle was a good guy. We were very good friends. I fought him in Denver. I had him down, but he gave me a long count. And the fight should have been over, but it wasn't. He came back and stopped me. So.
Yeah, then you ended up getting the title shot in '77 against Ali. I mean, Ali, Lyle, plenty of these guys said that you were the hardest puncher they'd ever fought. If I'm not mistaken, what did Ali say? Something like you punched him so hard, his kinfolk back in Africa felt it, or they were shook or something like that.
Can I tell you something?
Yeah.
Ali told me, Ernie, I'm going to make you welcome. So Ali, when you said that quote, I get a lot of calls now. I do a lot of signing. I use that quote there. So it's working well. It's working well for me.
Yeah, when you fought Ali, his antics before the fight, did that have any effect on you?
No, because I knew Ali for quite some time before I fought him. I knew how he tried to play with his net, mind game. So I met him back in '73. I fought him in '77. By then, I became pretty good friend with him. I knew him quite well. And he couldn't psych me out like he thought he was, him and Boudini. And, it just didn't work. It was a great fight, though. When you fight a guy like Ali, you do well. You see him worldwide, open door, but it's still open door for me now. So it was a great, great fight for me.
Right. After that, of course, we had the first fight with Larry Holmes, which was a fight that it's kind of like you look back now and you think, well, Holmes dominated that fight. And when I went back and watched it a few days ago, I think Larry did win most of the rounds, but that was a hell of a fight between you two. Larry Holmes was a great fighter, but I don't think people knew how good he was at that point. Going into that fight in Caesar's Palace, did you know that Holmes was that good going in?
Oh, I knew Holmes. Holmes was my sparring partner for years. He said, Larry told me, Ernie, I will never beat you if you didn't have him for a sparring partner. I know all your moves. But I knew how good he was. Yeah, Larry was a great fighter. And we became very good friends. He got me ready for Jimmy Ellis, 73. Been friends ever since then.
Not bad. And eventually, you talked a little bit about the Ken Norton shot, and you ended up getting him out of there. Holmes, was Norton your friend as well? Was that a guy you chit-chatted with before the fight? And what do you remember of that bout?
Well, Norton, Norton be a young friend of mine, Randy Stevens. I grew up with him.
Yeah.
Down in the country. And I saw I called Larry. Larry said he was too tough. Ernie, you a little tough for me. And Larry, make him fight me and you'll never see Ken Norton again. So he called Ken and asked me, you want me to match? He said, yes. He said, you got to be Shavers. And the phone went dropped with dead Larry. He found that, okay. But when we signed the contract, Don King, Don King, there's me, Don King, and Ken. Don King stand between us. So I said, Ken, I'm going to destroy you. Because he'd be a young friend of mine, Randy Stevens. But Ken said, but we can make a lot of money. I said, Ken, I'm the only guy going to be remembered. And that was it. Now, going to this fight, I wanted to fight for him even something mean because Norton didn't like punchers, and I could punch. So I just took him out first round.
Yeah, he proved that when he fought Foreman and Cooney a year or two after you. He had trouble with big guys. Jeremiah?
Yeah, well,
go ahead.
Archie Moore told me that Ernie, he don't like punchers. So he said he showed him wrong fight you. He don't like punches. So I took him out.
Yeah, well, you got to give him credit. At least he took him on, right? There are some guys who are maneuvered, in a way to where they avoid guys who give them stylist difficulties. But at least Norton had the gall to take you guys on. What do you remember the rematch with? Yeah. You got to give him credit for that. But what do you remember the Holmes rematch?
Well, Larry had one of the greatest jabs I ever faced. What a jab he had. And I knew it would be tough beating Larry because we worked so many miles together over the years. He had a great jab. There's no jab I've seen better than Ali. Ali was like flicking Larry. Larry jabs going like a right hand, punishing jab. I knew it was going to be a tough fight. I knew both times I knew it was going to be a tough fight. But Larry we worked so many miles together over the years. And I had some sparring partner, my fault, Jimmy Elvis, and different guys, and we became good friends. But he had a jab. I've never seen a jab like it before. That jab I've seen.
Yeah, and you had to think, I don't know. I was watching the fight. I think it was, the 7th round or the 9th round. You hit him with a shot that I really thought you might have killed him. He dropped, and I didn't think there was any chance he was getting up. What was going through your mind at that point?
Hey, I said, oh, man, I'm going to be champion of the world. And I looked and seen Larry's left eyebrow move. So, oh, shit. It'll be a long night.
Yeah, and the thing about Larry is you see Weaver get him in trouble, Snipes drop him, you dropped him, and the thing that was amazing about Larry is he would end those rounds actually winning the rounds by the time he was done. The guy had amazing heart.
Oh, yeah, Larry's a great fighter, I'm glad I got a chance to fight Larry. And, paid good money, so nothing never made good money.
Yeah, nothing wrong with making good money.
Not at all. That's why I got in the game.
Yeah, that's why it's called prize fighting, right?
Yeah. But like I said, Larry had one of the best jabs I ever faced. He had a great jab. moves well, and Larry kind of guy. I mean, you hit him a good shot, he gonna come back. Larry just didn't give up.
Yeah, he had a lot of pride.
Yes, Larry and I were still good friends today. I see Larry from time to time, and he come out here. He bring me over to Pennsylvania, my wife and I. So him and Diane are good people. I know him when he was 17. He first got married to Diane. They've been friends ever since.
All right, Jeremiah?
Yeah, sorry. And after that, just about immediately after that, you had a fight with Bernardo Mercado, who was a big puncher himself. That was an excellent scrap, and one Mike and I remember quite well. What do you remember of the fight?
Well, I remember a whole lot about it, but I know he was a tough guy. A real tough guy. He had some good shots and came back. He was a good fighter. I think it was, he took a good shot too, and he came back and won. So it was good.
Yeah, and I think he was the guy that Mike Weaver, who was the guy you didn't get a chance to fight, but Mike Weaver, we had him on about 2 weeks ago, and he said Mercado was the hardest puncher he'd ever faced.
Oh yeah, okay, I knew he fought him, but
he didn't fight you though, right, Ernie?
No, he didn't. No, Mike. I like Mike. He was a nice guy. We know Papa. He's not. I see him occasionally. He was a nice guy.
Yeah, he's a good guy. Next up, I know you fought Randall Cobb, which was another great fight. I think that was on the undercard at a Cuevas Hearns fight, wasn't it, in Detroit?
I think it was. It must have been. I think it was. It had to be because it was in Detroit. Yeah.
Yeah, and Tex was another guy that was tough as nails also.
Yeah, Tex was a good, tough guy. I see Tex from time to time. Now, he's good. I mean, it's a real tough guy. You fight Tex, man, he's always bringing lunch. It's going to be a long day.
Now, my other question is this. I know that from the reports from watching the fight that you'd been to John Hopkins med school for retina trouble before that bout.
Oh, yes, yeah.
So, I mean, was that anything? Did you think about maybe not going through with the fight?
No, I never thought about that. Doc said it was okay. They probably the other eye go again. So, no, it didn't bother me one bit there. No.
Yeah, and that's the same doctor who ended up doing surgery on Ray Leonard as well. So, obviously he knew what he was doing. You got out of there in 1987 and then came back in 1995. What was your rationale behind that decision?
Well, they offered me a nice piece of money, and it's hard to say no. So I took it. That's why I came back straight because of the money on that deal. So a nice piece of money, so I came back on that. And all my daughters were going to go to school, going to college and stuff, so I needed the money, so I took it. All
right, now, I'm going to go back to 1983 real quick, because I forgot you'd fought this guy until I looked at it. This is a guy I've been looking for forever. He's kind of a forgotten good heavyweight contender back in the early 80s by the name of George Chaplin. And I know you got DQ'd for low blows, I think in the 8th or 9th round against him. What do you remember about George?
I don't remember very much about George. He was a decent fighter, so a nice guy. But I remember about him not too much, not a whole lot.
Yeah, I remember he gave Greg Page hell in 2 fights. I actually thought he won both of them.
Yeah.
But if there's anybody out there that knows where George Chaplin is, send us a message to @GrillingTruth on Twitter. But go ahead, okay. Jeremiah.
Yeah, I wanted to ask something, and I'm sure you've got it a good number of times, but who would you consider the best heavyweight that you ever fought?
I would have said Larry Holmes.
Yeah, I would think Holmes was in his prime when you fought him, and Ali was pretty much on the way down the hill when you fought him, correct?
Yeah, yes. Larry had a great, wonderful jab. Yeah, Larry. I said Larry Holmes, yeah.
All right, now the other thing, the Ali fight, I've seen that a few times, which I think it was a lot closer than the judges had it. I think there's a case to be made. You may have squeaked that one out. but I know they would show the rounds or the score at the end of each round on the TV. Back then, it was kind of an experiment. Did you know the score of each round after the round during that fight?
No, I didn't. We had a guy that was making him just moonwatch the fight. No, I didn't. I didn't know.
Okay, I didn't know if that was something where they put it on a scoreboard or anything there. I was like 10 or 11 when I watched it, but I remember being blown away by, I think a couple of judges had it like 11-4 or 10-5, and that was a much closer fight than that. So, do you watch boxing still?
No, I don't. I was never a fight fan. Even when I fought, I wasn't a fight fan.
Yeah.
I got it because of the money they paid. That's exactly why I got into it, and that was it.
So
No, I knew I was going to be an athlete when I was early, but I didn't. I was in it strictly for the money.
Well, we won't ask you any questions about today's boxers then, Jeremiah.
Yeah, so that was I take it that was part of the WBC's open scoring. Is that what you're referring to, Mike? Because I know
they did it for a few fights in the late 70s, and then I remember they did it again in the mid 80s. Because I remember there was a Vinny Pazienza fight, I think, and Johnny Bumpus against Marlon Starling. I just remembered a few times, but I remember during the telecast, at least I think it was that fight, that they were showing the scores.
Yeah, I thought there were even fights that they did where they announced it, where they actually announced what the scores were. But yeah, I don't think
that was the mid '80s. I didn't know if they did that in the late '70s or they were just doing that for TV.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I didn't really. I don't know. That didn't really go too over well for a number of us because I remember there was a few fights they did it, and some of the guys would know that they're ahead and they'd kind of coast. But anyways, Earnie Shavers, what are you doing in your free time nowadays?
Well, I have too much free time. I do a lot of autograph signing. I sign autographs so to keep me busy doing that.
All right. My other question was this. Back in the day, Howard Cosell. What was your experiences like with Howard?
Howard was a nice guy. I mean, a nice person. He just doing a good job. So, I mean, I got along with Howard. I had no problem with Howard at all.
Yeah, and Howard was with Ali, of course, but Howard's one of the guys that really, I think, brought boxing into the mainstream with Ali, of course, and then with the 76 Olympic team. And, heck, I remember you fought Larry Holmes, the second fight, prime time, 1979, on ABC Sports.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But, all right, Jeremiah.
Go
ahead. Go ahead. Sorry, Ernie.
I said, that game has been good to me. It's been good. I met a lot of nice people along the way. I came out in good health, and most of the guys now are gone. I'm still there with Larry and George. So it's been good to me.
All right, Jeremiah.
Right, and I wanted to ask, I had read that you moved to England to pursue a job as a preacher. Is that correct?
I don't know where it came from. No, I was an evangelist, but I never pursued a job to be a preacher. I heard that 4 or 5 times, but no, I did all evangelist work, but I wouldn't want to be a preacher at all. I wouldn't be a preacher.
Oh, okay, yeah, I only asked because I read it in an article, but you did say this, if I'm not mistaken, you did say only God hits harder than you. Is that right?
Oh yeah. If he called and told me I'd be evangelist tomorrow. No, but yeah, God do it harder than me and everybody else.
But you're the next in line, right?
Yeah, up to him was me.
All right. So when you look back at your career, what do you think was your greatest moment? Or what do you remember the most fondly? Whether it was a fight you won, a fight you lost, somebody you met along the way?
I mean, I met some good people along the way. I mean, I said Larry Holmes. I mean, he was really good to me, and none lost from Larry. And Ali. Ali and Larry both were great. They both were good. Thank God that I fought them. You fight guys like that. And like on my job now, it's all about Ali. Ali fight. Everything I do is about the Ali fight, so this fight was a great fight, too.
Yeah, because, I mean, I don't think for a boxer, there's any greater tie than have been in the ring with Muhammad Ali, just from what he represented, not from a boxing perspective, but I mean everything else outside of the ring that he accomplished in his career. To be tied with him, I think, has to be special.
Yes, Ali was a special guy. He just opened my door for us fighters, and especially me. So I thank God for him.
All right, Ernie. We appreciate you coming on tonight.
I appreciate you having me on. Thank you very much, and again, have a good evening.
All right. Thanks a lot, Ernie.
Okay, thank you. Bye.
All right. All right, guys. You can catch another Boxing Legends show in an hour. We'll have former light heavyweight contender Yaki Lopez on the show. Jeremiah, any parting words?
Yeah, as always, I want to thank these guys for coming on, giving us our time. I mean, from when we started, about a year and a half ago, we were basically interviewing, hardly anybody at all. I mean, and now we're getting all these big-time fighters, guys from the golden era of heavyweights, and it's just much appreciated. I'm glad that they would, take the time to sit down and chat with us, and I'm looking forward to doing more.
Most definitely. All right, guys, I want to remind you, you can hear all of our shows on iHeartRadio, iTunes, TuneIn, Spreaker, Stitcher. Wherever you find sports podcasts, you'll find The Grueling Truth. And I guess for now, we will see everybody back here, hopefully in an hour, for Yaki Lopez. So for Earnie Shavers, Jeremiah Preisser, I'm Mike Goodpaster. You've been listening to The Grueling Truth, where the legends speak.